Yeah, did it. Okay, great.
Oh, we're recording.
Look, I'll show you. So I found a tree and look at this. There's just a rock right there.
Oh,
It's
perfect.
perfect. And I
So
got my
sweet.
beverage. I broke the rules. It was actually coffee.
I have water in my
Oh,
mug, but I'm representing today. So there's that.
that's amazing. I'm gripping this so that this doesn't look like I'm doing this just to promote this kombucha brand. I wouldn't do that. That's not my style.
So I just want folks to know, like we were talking about, Piper's been walking around. Usually we take walks, and I thought about taking a walk, but I was pressed for time this morning because things happen, and so I'm sitting in my desk.
But with a beautiful natural background.
Flowers,
Yeah.
I didn't just flip everyone off. It's just ghost hands. I guess can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Piper Rose, they, them pronouns. It's such an interesting question. Like, what am I doing now? Well, it's 2020, so we'll just frame this for any future generations by like leading the interview with that.
Yeah.
It's been a hard year. It's been a strange year. There's a lot of opportunity, but at a lot of cost, high cost.
Mm-hmm.
It requires a lot of energy to do almost anything. And I have almost no energy as a result of kind of this global upset in this thing that I didn't even know was important, which was a degree of security and predictability.
Mm-hmm.
That it's, the sheer fact that I have on multiple levels no idea what's coming or what's happening, to political system, social system, economic system, and agricultural system, emotional systems, anything, the social justice systems of the world. I mean, I have no fucking idea. And wrap that in like a blanket of grief that's like a supreme weighted blanket that is closer to paralysis than actual comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And having all of my resources just delegated towards kind of survival right now. Like, how do I put out all the small fires in my life and just focus on the one big fire of survival?
Right.
And so it's like, what am I working on right now? Well, it's interesting. I'm working on not wearing the same outfit every day. I'm working on doing 7 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a day. This is my bar. Mm-hmm. I'm working on that. I'm working on, okay, the street I'm on is just like, everyone's like, I heard they're filming coffee chats. Like, we gotta go.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone heard they're filming coffee chats, so now it's like bonkers. And there's
shit.
a million people. I'm just kidding. Let me see if I can shoo the paparazzi away. Tamika's not speaking to anyone right now. We'll see. I'm like,
you have to set up an appointment through my agent.
You're gonna have to set up an appointment through their agents. Oh, see, that worked. It's so peaceful though. Perfect. So I'm working on just eating the amount of food my body needs.
Yeah.
Giving myself joy. Connecting with the people I love. Yeah, it's very simple. Like, everything's very simplified right now. So it's very interesting. So what I was going to be doing in 2020 was launching like a massive queer skillshare educational platform, like Queer for Queer. Like, we help teach each other about all the things in our life, our being and our social structures and our visions for the world, and how we're bringing them to life at like breakneck speed because we have technology to share with each other right now and evolve and grow our ideas and create consensus and experiment and play and learn from each other. And I was so thrilled to launch that this year. And honestly, like all the money I had saved, all the time I invested, I paused it and I accepted that this year was not going to look how I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then I was going to launch Queer Mall, which is like queer artisans that are the written word, visual mediums, crafters, you know, people who have skills to offer.
Yeah.
And I was really excited about that. And then I looked at that too. And I was like, you know, I don't think 2020 is going to look the way I thought it was. And then, I mean, it's at this point, I'm working a beautiful full-time job. Like, I'm so grateful that I have my job. I work at a startup called Plume that ensures that trans folks have access to gender affirming hormone therapy in a fucking affirming, incredible, convenient environment where their whole care coordination team is all trans. Their doctors are queer or trans or allies. I mean, it's a medical experience for trans folks that has never existed before. And I feel really grateful for that work. And at the same time, almost everything creates anxiety for me right now. So it's the same thing. It's like 2020 isn't going to look how I thought it was going to look, including the way that I approached this job, my capacity for it. It's like I'm meeting a literal whole new version of myself that I've never met before, with entirely different energetic thresholds, emotional thresholds, cognitive thresholds, needs, wants, desires. I mean, we're talking about like inside out, top to tail. I am brand new, and I'm just staring at myself with zero judgment and as much compassion as I can muster to let myself be this version that I trust will survive this time.
Right.
And it's very humbling and interesting. And all right. There's one thing I think I'm going to try. I've been throwing tiny dance parties for like one or two people where I DJ for just like two lonely people in a backyard. And I think I figured out a way to do social distance queer karaoke at the park. And I think I'm like, okay, look, I've set the bar so low for 2020 that I'm like, if I finish this book, I've achieved accomplishments, great heights. If I don't finish the book, I'm still doing great. I'm still fine. Like, I'm setting the bar really low. But I'm thinking I'm going to pull in a few friends, and between many of our resources, I think we'll get queer karaoke once.
I think that's thank you for sharing all of that. And I think that's really real right now. I know that for me, I've been shown like what actual community looks like. It's a term I've always had a little grit in my craw about, because people throw it around, you know, they're like community, blah, blah, blah. And usually it's a clique, that's their community, and that's fine. That is fine. And I've been looking for something more though, because I haven't felt supported. I've felt like in a lot of communities I like step in and I'm asked to give a lot. I don't get a lot of return. But like these COVID times, it's just like, you know, everyone is at capacity already. And the things that people have to give have been really interesting to see. So like my garden is like a really good example. That was a little bit forced on me, sort of.
Wait, the garden?
Yes, because I asked for low light indoor plants for a basement, and people are like, here's a tomato plant, here are seeds from Navajo Nation. I'm like, that's a lot of fucking responsibility for someone who's never gardened before, you know? But it's turned into like this like sharing all the time, you know, we go help each other harvest, and everyone gets really excited about what you're growing in your garden, even if one thing grows and stuff. And so it's like just this huge example of people actually coming together. Sometimes people I don't even know just showing up at my doorstep and like bringing plants, you know, for me to put into the ground, and just entrusting me with kind of this task, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, theme, totally. Gardens, so real. I also started growing on this tiny outdoor porch in the middle of downtown Denver with very little space. But between that and supporting this local queer CSA and my
Yeah.
mother's garden and my partner's garden, I know what you're talking about. We are
Yeah.
abundant and we're sharing, and
Mhm.
also the nurturing of the earth is critical and essential for this time.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. I think intuitively, with all the hand washing and the masks, which are necessary, we
Right.
do need like microbes, we need dirt, we need that for our immune systems to stay healthy. And I
Yeah.
think that also the turn towards what really matters, and the sort of the beautiful symbiosis of the earth and our bodies, and this instinct to begin to like care for our greater body, and then the natural sort of outcome of that is this connection to others,
Yep.
right? The land unifies, even though this super fucked Western idea of like, this is my land, right? Like, and I'm growing on my land, right? But actually the earth isn't seeing that. The earth is just like, no, I'm going to be feeding everyone, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
bringing everyone together, because this is actually like a unified system that no one owns because I'm sovereign, you know, like eye roll, earth eye roll. But no, it's incredible. But the gardening theme has also been super present in my life. And yeah, it's labor that, yeah, some things I have energy for and other things I don't.
Yeah.
But gardening, how do you feel like it's returning energy to you when you're gardening?
Absolutely. Actually, like in the beginning of like those first 2 months were very, very super hard, but I also started having this urge of just like, you know, we're all looking at possible mortality, right? We're
Right.
realizing our mortality, and like I just wanted to see things grow. And so I just started planting random shit. Like, I'm like, I found these yucca seeds on the sidewalk. I'm going to see if I can grow one. Or like even weeds. I would just bring home weeds and try to grow them in my windowsill. And then I started asking for plants. And I just had this urge of just like wanting to plant things and stick my hand in the dirt and like just like I didn't really understand it. I've never really felt that before. Like pre-COVID, I had two little plants barely hanging on because I'm generally not home very much, you know.
Right.
And I just it was like this desperate feeling of just like, what
Mhm.
can I grow? I want to see if this carrot nub will grow, you know,
Mhm.
like just whatever, kitchen scraps, whatever. Um, and now I have a small garden. I call it the chaos garden because it's, you know, it wasn't planned. It was just like every time something didn't work, I put something else in the ground because
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just know things want to grow and I'm gonna try
Yeah.
to pay attention, you know. Um, and that's pretty much it. And so it has been returning, you know, like at some point I had three really huge zucchini plants, and I couldn't eat them all. So I had to share, you know, because also it felt very sacred, like this food that I've been watching growing and the stuff that actually makes it. It's just like I do want to share this with somebody, you know. Um, so it's definitely been huge returns.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Our instincts, and the return of instincts, right? You know, it's like
Mhm.
when you eat so much sugar and salt, your tongue gets desensitized,
Mhm.
right? And so it's very interesting to watch when you take away our sugar and salt, like the all of a sudden we're like, oh, is that the wind? Is that the sun? You know, like, I don't know, I'm exaggerating, but like really all of a sudden we're feeling, uh, we have access to desires, I think, and longings, and
Mhm.
really instincts,
Yeah.
like instincts that we didn't have access to, or as easy access to, or not, we is sort of assuming everyone is in that pot, and I don't think so. I think there's various degrees. I think that, like you said, even just craving community
Right.
is part of that instinct sort of thrashing,
Right.
you know, and like knowing it's a need, but having like a system of social exchange and transaction that and disconnection and othering, and you know, there's so many things that go into this, but an inability to sort of access it,
Right.
but continuing to be able to access sugar and salt,
Right.
you know, that like make it pretty palatable to eat this like version of everything.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very interesting to see what sensitization is bringing. I know that grief is really big for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And grieving has been ultra helpful for me. Ancestor work has been incredibly helpful for me. I'm grateful that that's a part of my family's traditions, and that it's something I have a language and practices for, because
Nice.
you know, I think back and I realize, oh yeah, ancestors have gone through some shit. Like, I'm all, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. The ancestors are like, oh, that's so cute. We've been through some shit. We can help you, you know, like, you know, it's easy. It's so easy in only such a short amount of time to adopt as a species this belief that like stability is just natural and
Right.
predictability is natural, and it's like,
It's a nice
no.
dream. I think we're learning that it's a nice dream. It's like, you know, what happens when your house of cards goes, because that's totally the sound it makes. But like, I just feel like,
Yeah,
like
it
I feel
does.
it's just like, just it's gone.
Oh yeah, or like wah, wah, is another.
It's true. It's true. Like, it's everything just gets laid flat or whatever. And then I really liked how, you know, you were really vulnerable with the fact that, like, you know, sometimes a good day is getting out of bed and like putting some clean clothes on and feeding yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I had to come to terms with, because I like to do things. I like to do things a lot. And something I learned during this pandemic, in writing and also just experiencing it, is that willpower is limited. It's like,
Yeah.
it's there's limitations there. And I think it's always sold to us as like, you can increase your willpower. You can increase your word power. But willpower is actually limited, and we have the capability of instilling tools to help us get the most out of the willpower that we have.
Right.
And so that's really helped me to not beat myself up as much, you know. Because there are some days where I'm just like, fuck everything. I can't. I just really can't.
And it's so amazing that I sort of was talking about this because I got into a little bit of a unhealthy conflict with somebody in the pandemic, and I have a tendency, like a historical tendency of like subjugating my needs and really go into codependency mode, and like trying to fix their feelings as a proxy for
Yeah.
fixing my feelings, and not being able to ask for what my needs are, right? Like this sort of like
Yeah.
unhealthy thing that I work with, and I have worked with. But what was incredible was that I was literally so exhausted that I was like, I can't even uphold my own bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked at this person and I was like, no. because literally I couldn't do anything else. Like I had no more energy. Like even the will, conscious or unconscious, to uphold the patterns and the habits and the behaviors and the mindsets that bind us,
Mm-hmm.
even to things that are not beneficial for our long-term sustainability, you know, beneficial perhaps for learning, beneficial perhaps for whatever, but like yeah, it's very, very interesting that part of that lack of willpower even destroyed my ability to do something that that normally would have been fairly unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's cool. That's a twist. Like, what a twist. And these sort of like almost more primal protective sides of myself have come out in a way that I think in many situations I have not respected their power and intensity, because they were not well matched to the situation. But now that the situation is so intense, to have these intense parts of myself that come forward and are like, that no was a hard no.
Yeah.
And it was a cold no.
Yeah.
It was like a part of myself that I often judge and reject, but I suddenly was like, thank you. Like, thank you. You fucking ice queen bitch. Like, thank you so much, because I do not know what the fuck I'm doing right now. And ice queen bitch is like, I do. No. And I was like, ah! But normally I would start judging myself about that, and it would just become a part of that larger unhealthy pattern where I'm like, oh, I don't have the right to say no, and I'm such a bitch for saying no, and
I get
I've
that.
internalized blah blah, and now it's like, actually no, it's having a very interesting response in that way. And yeah, I think the other thing about the willpower thing, and you're like, we have limited willpower.
Yes.
Totally true. So true. And it's easy to forget how low level, constant anxiety in the form of grief and anger is actually taking up energy.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not thinking about it doesn't mean my body systems, my central nervous system, my endocrine system, aren't chugging away, like using up energy.
Right.
And so that's, I think, also really important and very real what you're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Like, I mean, I teach too, and I try to make space to always have like a module on creativity, because a lot of people don't think they're creative people, which is fun. And then also just like, how are you going to make space for that creativity and also willpower, like, because things are going to get hard about week 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, and you're going to be
Right.
probably start feeling some feelings of overwhelm and stuff. And how are you going to take care of yourself during that?
Mm-hmm.
Usually I like to do kind of like a little self-care too, because, massage therapist, whatever. But like, I try to drop some things in there that they can use that they're not going to get anywhere else, because academia and everything else in our society teaches us that we're supposed to like go constantly all the time, as if that's actually sustainable.
Right.
It kind of isn't. It really isn't. I don't even think it's possible when we start inputting cybernetic parts, which I feel like is the direction we're heading. Thanks, Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. Neural net in a pig somewhere. Man, I know.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. It's interesting, right? Like, here's an interesting thought that I think you're kind of headed toward very naturally is, even if I did have additional, I mean, we're clearly cyborgs. We have these absurd technologies. Like, we're already in cybernetics. We're already tech enhanced. But even if we did get to the point, or let's not mince words, when we get to the point where we can put a bunch of shit in our body and we have so much more capacity energetically, whatever, this is the time to sort of like explore the philosophical, ethical, emotional edges of, even if I could go, would I want to, and why, and for who? And is this a social pill that I've taken, or is this an actual desire to leverage infinite energy for a purpose? Okay, what purpose? Why? There's like, before it's at that fever pitch of people just like, go to Walgreens and pick up your Cyclops eye. I don't know. we have an interesting, like, reflective space.
Yeah. I'm curious about what joy looks like in those spaces, because I know pre-COVID I was working 5 jobs 7 days a week, and I'm working a lot again, just because that's how academia works, and
Yeah.
freelancing, adjuncting and freelancing. And I learned during this COVID times, this is not where I want to be. So
Right.
I'm thinking about that a lot. But like how can we know too, right? Because things like mindsets are going to change. And like, say we're in that space where it's go, 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 and it's all about like efficiency and production again and stuff. What does joy look like? And does joy exist? Like, that's something I wonder.
Well, this is so, I mean, I think about this often because I was a big Andrew Yang supporter. He was a presidential candidate who was really like tech competent, but also social justice minded, and universal basic income was his jam. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was his platform. And part of the reason that that was his platform, and when you're talking about joy, it reminds me of this because universal basic income was intended to offset the reduction in work hours that people are inevitably going to face with increased technological advances.
Right.
There's a loud truck. Right. It's not necessarily, I mean, when you said that, I thought, well, God, are we even going to be the ones that are go, go, go? Or is there going to be like go, go, go robot, and we're going to be standing there being like, oh my God, I don't even know who I am because I don't have to go anymore at all. You know, like, there's just like an existential crisis. And 2020 should roll that out. That'd be sick. That'd be a sick existential crisis for this time. Anyway, so just trying to give 2020 ideas. Let's keep it weird, and let's keep fucking with everybody. So technology is advancing. Are we the ones going? It's pretty possible that we're not. And so what might joy look like? Well, when I think about it like that, and I've sort of dismantled capitalism and systems of oppression, then I'm like, I think I'd experience a lot more joy to have 10 more hours free in my work week. If I didn't know that, you know, if I wasn't living in terror, that I didn't have the money to eat or have shelter or invest in art.
Right.
Or community health and healing, or my own health and healing, right? Like if those things were cared for,
Right.
Then it would be quite radical. I think there would be an opportunity for a tremendous amount of joy there. Hopefully not entirely embedded in, again, capitalism.
Right.
Because if we have more money and we have more freedom, we're probably just going to destroy the earth even faster. Right, because then we're just consuming more and more. So I think the opportunity is risky and exciting. Well, back to community. If I had 10 more hours, who could I spend time with and how to garden and share and build relationship? You know, like I think that there's an opportunity for a lot of joy there. There's also a lot of opportunity for more salt and sugar, and for that whole fucking thing to go down in flames.
It's true.
At an exponential rate, because we're in Amazon world where it's the fastest race to the bottom, and it's quite interesting.
I know. I wonder, coming from where I come from, I wonder if I would have been able to even think about the possibility of joy and like looking at nature. Well, the looking at nature part has always been with me, luckily, because my grandparents and I think especially because of my grandparents, you know, like look at that bird, or look for the deer butts on the road, and like, you know, like we're always looking for nature wherever we were, and we went on road trips and went rock hunting and things. So I'm very thankful for those experiences, because it taught me, like, you know, like I don't drive a lot, so I don't get out into the mountains very much and things like that. So it taught me to look for nature wherever I'm at, in the city, wherever. And for a long time, you know, I've gone and seen different kinds of healers and stuff for this. It's like, I really yearn to feel connected, and I really yearn to feel joy. I feel like I don't have those things. And I feel like if I hadn't searched for those things and gone through some interesting experiences where some of those folks, like even charlatans, help people. Let's just say that even charlatans help people. I think if I hadn't had those conversations, I wouldn't be in the mindset of now, just being like, holy shit, there's a spark of joy there, and I'm totally going for
Right.
it, because like, what else do I have? You know,
Right.
like, I don't have 5 jobs anymore, and I don't really want that anymore. And this meal is fucking amazing in the middle of a pandemic, or this connection I'm having is really amazing in the middle of a pandemic. And you know, just having new experiences, even in this, and it's just like, that shit is important. It's important.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so like, how do we convince people? Because it took me a
Yeah.
really long time, you know?
Yeah. It's so cool you said that. Part of when I was saying like putting out all the small fires and just focusing on the one fire of survival, it's
Yeah.
truly like food, shelter, dharma, you know, like what's my work, what do I have to
Yeah.
do, who am I in community with, and how can I show up, and
Yeah.
joy. Like,
Yeah.
I need to do what is joyful right now, because guess fucking what, joy is essential for survival.
Yep.
True joy, which is different than sugar and salt on overload till we can't
Right.
taste it anymore, you know.
Right.
It's different. Wow. And so right now, do you feel like your historical exploration of joy, am I hearing you correctly, that you're saying like your historical exploration of and cultivation of joy is alive in this time in a different way, because you have to you have to find it in order to survive?
Yeah. I think it's definitely been a
Damn.
desperate thing, because I've always laid aside my joy and my interests, and not necessarily my interests, but like 75% of my heart probably, for all these other things, for all these other kind of obligatory things. And I sense myself trying to fall into those same patterns still every day. And so like, I have to learn how to say no, right? It's like,
Right.
no, that's taking me away from my joy. That's taking
Yeah.
me away from these things that I'm learning I really want in my life, and
Mm.
I don't, you know, and they're worth fucking fighting for,
Wow.
especially now. And I don't think that's ever really happened before, except for in this mindset of wanting to do quote unquote my work, which is the things that allow me to, you know, be comfortable with being myself. So like, that's, you know, like figuring out how to have the words for my experience, and having the gall to say it, or like, um, finding beauty in art, and you know, performance and writing and things like that. Those things are really important for me. And also like talking with people who are, you know, lots of people are doing amazing things, and I'm more interested in people who are doing amazing things and also amplifying communities. And that's really important to me. So like, I've been finding that is definitely a joy. You know, I get really excited
Yeah.
about like those edges that people are pushing against and stuff. And not just for the sake of it. I disrupt, do that. That's fucking awesome. And like, folks who are disrupting and like kind of taking folks along, and like, I don't know, I'm like talking in circles, but there's definitely certain things that like spark my interest, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, let me be part of that, you know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's interest, and then there's also this joy part.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of, um, oh my gosh. I think that, and I it just got, I know said you were talking in circles, but actually it was like really, my brain started going down all of these different roads as a result, and I got myself a little confused. Let me reorient.
That's okay. That's why I stopped. I was like, whoa,
No, but
Brayden.
you were going there though. It was awesome. have you ever, okay, here's the thread I'm going to follow. Have you ever read The War of Art?
The Wooded?
The War of Art?
No, I haven't
Okay,
read
so
The War of Art.
yeah, not to be confused with The Art of War, right? Obviously.
Right.
But the War of Art is this book where this writer is essentially for the duration of this short book being like, you're going to wake up and you're not going to want to write.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to fucking write. And it's like, and then this is going to happen. And people are going to push back and be like, you don't spend time with me anymore. And you're going to be like, actually, I need to reprioritize. So that my writing becomes a person I hang out with as much as other people in my life that matter.
Yes.
And like all these things. But then I just thought, why? Like, why do we have such a resistance to doing what we long to do?
Right.
Why though? Okay, thank you for this book that's like, these resistance are going to come up and then you just fucking do it anyway, you know? And it's like, okay, great, that's great. But why is this even happening? Like, why do I have a resistance to making music, even though making music brings me joy?
Right.
Why do I have a resistance to dancing or exercising or whatever? It's taking a long time to cook a beautiful meal or calling my family, or like, why do I have resistance to these things that are actually in the completely within the realm of joy?
Right.
Why? Okay, it's another loud one. I'm going to
Why
turn
do
it
we
off.
resist? Wow.
Why the fuck do we do that?
Why do we resist joy?
Yeah,
That's
why
such a
though?
deep fucking question. Holy shit. And there are people making thousands of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars off of us, you know, selling this idea that they can help us to find our joy. They can heal us into our joy. I know that's tricky because there are some people who can guide folks towards that.
Right.
It's the ones who are like, I'm a healer. I will make it happen for you. Those are the ones I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, or like this one pill, or this one quick mantra, or this one, you know, whatever it is. Fuck
and
that.
in that moment, absolutely. But 3 days later, you're like, fuck, where is my joy?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, well, two things, right? So joy has some effortlessness to it, right? But I started walking, so I was like, maybe I can find a quieter street, but I think it's just the world is loud. But
The world is loud.
Maybe the world is just loud. So this is interesting. So here's something fascinating, right? Like, just riffing. There's no science to back this up, but it takes a lot of energy to do things that bring us joy. Like, as much, okay, so like, it takes a lot of energy to process things that are really fucking hard.
Yes.
But it actually takes a lot of energy to process things that are profound or devastatingly beautiful, or really riveting. Like, it actually takes energy for us to do that too. And that not only to sort of hold that container of that experience, but to be a participant in all of the things that we're doing for joy, right? Like, making music takes like time and energy. And so I wonder if there's like a bit of exhaustion that could, I mean, maybe it's capitalist money culture, I don't know, but I mean, and a million other things, don't get me wrong, there's a lot going on there at an intersectional hell zone. But like, there's energy, and so I think that has a little bit to do with it. And then the other thing I'm thinking is sort of the foundational capacity for simple being to be joyful.
Yeah.
And there's like something at play there, which is interesting.
Well, for some reason I'm so sorry. I think of like, we see there's this like Netflix movie. I don't know if it's specifically Netflix, but it's called Happiness, I think. And it shows people all over the world who feel happiness like pretty much continually. And the interesting thing is their lives do not look like our lives. They like there's one person living in a hovel and has, does some work and spends time with their family, and just like, they look like they're in poverty and they experience so much joy. Is the narrative there. And not to romanticize it or anything like that. It's just like there's something else there like that. I think, I mean, you've already talked about capitalism a little bit, and just like I think that is definitely a big part of the problem. And then like my question when you were talking about this was like, how do we find that liminal space where joy lives? Because at this point I feel like it is a liminal space, because it should be effortless, but because of the onslaught of things like capitalism, it isn't, because we're told joy looks like something else. And I know, like, since I was 15, I was like, joy is fleeting. Youth is fleeting. Joy is fleeting. And now I'm starting to understand why that is. Why is it fleeting? It's fleeting because in front of our eyes, flickering nonstop, 24/7, from every angle, from the freaking sky, the TV, everything, is an advertisement of what our joy is supposed to look like. But it's not true. Buy this lipstick.
Totally. This is so interesting. And I think that there's, oh, wow, this is so interesting. I love what you're saying about just the access to joy not necessarily looking like we've been told it should look. But then I think about it, and I kind of trace it to this, like, oh God, how do you even say this? Just like terror. Like terror and joy can definitely find intersections. We see it at haunted houses. We see it with BDSM.
Yeah.
But like actual terror that you are going to die.
Right.
Like makes it very hard to access joy. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking for so many years, globally, generations, globally, so most people have lived in terror that they don't have enough to survive, or that not having something will devastate your life.
Yep.
Maybe not just you will die, but your family will die, or like you'll be removed from your land, or whatever it is, right? Like, and like imagine how much energy it just takes to do that. And then of course you don't have fucking energy to throw yourself with abandon into joy, but in addition to that, just you might not be able to reconcile the terror and the joy at all,
Right.
And then you still know, you still have the instinct, you still know that you want and need joy. And then you've got like Western modernity that's like, great, we can give it to you. It costs this much.
Yep.
It's easy. You just press a button. It's delivered.
It's delivered.
It's
free
fucking
shipping.
Delivered. And it's like, what a perfect recipe to say yes to that. And how I feel like for so many folks of a certain privileged caste in the world, in the Western world, can access that and suddenly feel maybe like some of that terror diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it even more confusing, because then you're like, no, I definitely want to keep buying stuff and having it delivered because like I actually am getting actual joy here. And maybe it's, you're like, that little bit is confusing. I mean, it just really makes it seem easy that everyone would just become capitalist oppressors.
Yeah.
It's like, what an easy choice.
Yeah.
Just really. So like, joy is the revolution, pleasure, activism.
Yeah.
Adrienne Marie Brown. But like, it's like, so is that why it's revolutionary to go after joy?
I think maybe so. And I mean, and I don't want to discount any way to go about it either, because I've definitely gone my route, like, oh, the lotus eaters, but every path leads, I feel, the same place. Just
Yeah.
takes some of us longer. It's fine.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and I like that you bring up this like intersection of terror and joy, because it's kind of like, how can you have one without the other, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're fully present and you are feeling all the things, actually feeling them and watching them and processing them, there's more possibility. And I think a lot of the stuff that's sold to us is like numbing.
Yeah.
So it actually takes us away from all of that. Like we can be fairly avoidant, whether it's drugs, whether it's video games, whether it's, there's so many different ways to go about it. Sometimes it's fucking meditation, because I've definitely gone that
Totally.
route. And just to try to steer yourself away from the things that hurt so bad. But like when we go into those places that are, dark, actually dark and actually painful, and I'm not talking about like necessarily, it's tricky, right? Because some of us, we're living some terrible shit.
Yeah.
Like I just watched a talk from a woman who survived her being a child sex slave, essentially. And they were going to kill her when they were done with her. And she survived this, and she has a new track now of like, like being very honest and vulnerable about all of these things, and also healing, and also trying to help other people with it, which is pretty cool. I'm like, dang, now I'm gonna have to put a trigger warning on this. But
Right.
uh like she wouldn't be where she's at if she hadn't had those experiences. And like I wonder if she found joy. Like, where was joy? Where was beauty?
Right.
Like, what were the things that kept her going?
Right.
I don't know why
Yeah.
my brain just went there, but I'm just like, I'm trying to be cognizant of the fact that I've been pretty lucky in my life, and maybe joy is more accessible. I don't know. But I think
Yeah.
it's really sorry. I think it's really interesting, this like intersection of like thinking about like the terror and the joy, like kind of conjuncting. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting, right? Because I think that I understand you're pointing to like there's gradients, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like the kind of terror you feel before you jump off a really high swimming pool dive. And then there's the tear that this individual that you're talking about might have felt, right? Like there's a there's a spectrum.
Right.
And I think that emotionally, our capacity to sort of be with our emotions is in the Western high sugar, high salt kind of consumptive world is pretty diminished. Like it's hard for us to be with terror, and it's hard for us to be with great joy. Like it's just hard for us to do that. So I wonder if, you know, and also just to say every single person is different. The way that their system interacts with a trauma or a tear or an experience. Two people could be in the same traumatic experience and come away being very, very different, you know, like just to say that if there are people in the world who've experienced profound sexual trauma and they are not okay today and they cannot find joy, like that your process is your own. There's no like right path to that healing, you know, even though there are many ways we can help each other through learning what has helped along our own healing paths, right? But it's ours to own, in terms of, you know, how we choose, how we can, we don't always have a choice, but how we can and sometimes choose to engage with it. And I think about in the lesser terror side, there's vulnerability, right? And just when you think about the Brene Brownie type of stuff, that's just, you know, if I do lots of things that counter social norms, I may actually feel terror. Or perhaps joy is so overwhelming that my body can't distinguish it from terror because I don't even know how to be with great joy. And maybe I have a resistance to great heights of anything, and that to access joy, I'm probably going to have to take some kind of risk, and there'll be some kind of vulnerability, and I won't even have the emotional strength to move through that. So maybe that's also another reason why it's hard to access joy.
Thank you for that. And I apologize too. That's just where my brain went.
Oh, we're in flow. No need to apologize. No way. And when I say yes, I'm letting you know I'm here with you and I'm hearing you, but not that I have something to say. So you like, yes, no, we are flowing. It's okay. I'm not scared of the dark stuff. This is a huge part of my life, and being able to be with and transmute and return, you know, take back power that's trapped in sort of like bound terror, and instead be like, I'm gonna fucking devour this terror, and I'm gonna use it the same kind of energy as any other emotion, and I'm gonna use it to move me in the trajectory that I have decided is where the fuck I want to be, or the ancestors have decided, or I'm inspired, or whatever your stance on free will is, whatever your deal is with free will.
I like this idea of devouring terror, because often our fears, we let them devour us, and or carry us or whatever. And that's an interesting way to think about it, is devouring, because literally it's like, you know, a digestive process. And I mean, literal transmutation, right? You're shitting out the waste and you're nourished by something in that. And I like that analogy a lot.
And then when we start our metal band, that's like the carriers or whatever.
That would be a cool metal band, like talking about these kinds of topics, you know. I've been getting into metal lately. I woke up to Megadeth. And even the big hair bands of the 80s, I've been getting into them again too, just admitting that I actually do love them. And that's been really fun. And also just like, it's interesting too, you know, one of my good friends, there's like a lot of like Christian metal, like,
Mm.
and it sounds like death
Yeah.
metal, and which is interesting because a lot of parts of Christianity are kind of like a death cult, but like something that someone's gonna slap me for later. It's fine. Just think about it. It's death cult.
Trigger warning. Some stuff also, if you're sensitive about Christianity being referred to as a death cult, this isn't the show for you. Not today.
Yeah, no, probably not ever. Because yeah, as the crows crow in the background.
Right.
So,
I mean,
but like,
not to mock trigger warnings either. They're necessary. They're
no,
real.
yeah, I try to
Yeah.
be cognizant of stuff, but
Yeah.
like, it's just interesting because you know, a lot of metal has been dubbed as like bad,
Satanic.
like
Or,
evil,
yeah.
satanic, you
Evil.
know. And I've been listening to a lot of like Christian metal, and it is fucking intense. It's awesome. And they're singing about Jesus and shit, or they're metal roaring about Jesus and shit. And I just like, I had never experienced that before. And it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
I really wish I have zero desire to break the true flow of this, but someday in the
Yeah.
future when you have editing skills, if you
Yeah.
could go to the video YouTube or the Vimeos and get a nice solid Christian metal video,
Yes.
and then you could just splice it in here.
It's like,
I mean, the truth, what I wish honestly is that I could share my screen with you and we could watch
we could
a video. Okay, let's do
see.
this. I want to see
Let's
this.
see.
Can you show me like favorite?
I think so. Are you able to share the screen?
My screen, or wait, you just have to share. I think your screen is black right now, which could just be the beginning of a death metal video. Oh wait, it's you. You're back.
So I did multiple participants can share simultaneously.
All right, but I don't have I wouldn't even know how to pick a Christian death metal music video. What's your favorite right now?
I don't know. Five Iron Frenzy, maybe? Is that what?
Oh yeah, okay. I have heard of them, but I have not heard them. Well, you search for that. I can tell people that I think that Evanescence might have been Christian.
Really?
Yeah, the Wake Me Up Inside, Save Me. Or wait, is that Linkin Park? No, I think it's Evanescence. Wake me up, wake me up inside. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Evanescence is like one of those bands I always wanted to like get into and couldn't, and I keep trying, but they're like, let's see here.
Oh, here we go.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it'll come through. Let's see.
I see it.
Probably freaking commercials first. Oh, Five Iron Frenzy.
Oh, we went right to it. Okay, great.
Oh, sound though?
Oh my God, there's a.
But, well, poo-poo. I don't know.
Can you hear it?
I cannot hear it.
It's okay. We're just going to interpret it. Okay, so, oh, wow.
Oh, can you hear it now?
They look like models. Oh, yes, I can.
I hope this is right. I hope these are the guys.
Okay, pause it.
But I guess it's kind of like.
Wait, pause it, because I know what you have to do. Okay, yeah. If you look at, so when you pause it, if you go up to the Zoom screen or wherever you have your toolbar, and then you should be able to, there should be 3 dots or something, and I think you can actually select share sound.
Oh, it's not coming through. Okay.
There's a drop down menu.
Drop down menu over my thing?
Yeah, like on Zoom though, on your Zoom controls.
Let's see.
Is there 3 dots or like a more things you can do on your toolbar?
Let's see. PowerPoint is virtual music or computer sound only portion of screen. So let's try this. It'll only
sharing computer sound. This is it. All right, people.
Cool.
You've been watching. You've been hanging on, and now it's time. Thank
And
you
I
for
guess,
your patience.
I guess it's not metal. It's more kind of like ska or something, but it's still cool.
But they're Christian?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's do it. They also look like Abercrombie models.
Is that coming through?
From your lungs, I take the breath from your lips. I am fucking bliss. I sell wholesale with a kiss. I am a dealer of words. I'll suck the butt from your seed and sell it right back to you before I get away clean. Before I get away, this is a stereo, and your speakers are blown in this scenario. We are the
right now.
This is a masquerade. This is a pinball if I'm a taking hand grenade.
Well, you get the idea, right? It's like there's like a lot of stigma about stuff, and like I really hope I got that right. Like I'm pretty sure that's the band. Sometimes I forget things, so I'm just gonna look it up really quick.
I feel like they're Christian.
Yeah. They have a new Kickstarter. Let's see what it says at Wiki. Does it tell me? It just says American band formed in Denver in '95, best known for playing ska punk music, characterized by an offbeat sense of humor and stuff.
Nothing. Maybe you can Control F and just search Christian.
Yeah, typing that in.
Can you tell me? I'm gonna try to play Evanescence now. You tell me if you can hear it.
Okay. Yeah, Christian ska.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Was it Bring Me to Life? Fallen, 2003. How old are we? Oh my God. Okay, wait.
I always say I'm a 90s kid, and it confuses the kids who were born in the 90s.
Wait, can you hear this?
Nope.
Oh, how about now? No?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I feel like we shouldn't force everyone on your coffee chat down this rabbit hole.
This is fun. This like provides new possibilities. I'm glad I learned a new thing. I also learned that we could stream these, just stream them. And that made me feel like a big silly, but whatever. Next time, next round.
Oh, like live?
Mm-hmm. But we're not live.
I know that you're not editing this, and at the same time, somehow that feels more risky, which is like just a mental mind trick. Like it's the exact same thing.
Right.
But just like knowing someone was actively watching me right now, I'd be super stressed out.
Yeah, same. But it's a fun game.
Yeah, even though it's literally the exact same. Only it's happening in the future, and somehow that's enough of a buffer for me to be comfortable talking to you. Well,
so what else? Like you mentioned queer CSA, and I don't think I know about that CSA.
Yeah, so it's my friend Sam, who does not call it a queer CSA. It has a nice name. I wish I could remember, like the Green Earth CSA or something. It has a nice name. We can link to it in the credits, but Sam lives in like Globeville, and in this very interesting little housing complex with lots of tiny homes that is not the tiny home village, but is nearby. And Sam's neighbor said, you can use my yard, and Sam is a farmer, and Sam was like, I'm gonna do this. So it's a tiny farm, but their experiment this year was like, can I do a CSA, even though it's small, and make this my life? And so Sam is doing that, and yeah, I'm really excited that I get to support it in this first year. Honestly, speaking of ideas, a few years ago, what I wanted to do was start a farming company that just had amazing urban farmers that people just gave us their yards to do urban farming, and in exchange for the use of their yards, they would get all of their produce, and then we would sell other things. And then because of the free use of land, we would also be able to give some away, right? So
Right.
the homeowner would have goods, we could sell some of them to pay our farmers, and then having the free land would mean we could give some away, and then it would be this really cool urban agriculture movement. And I thought there would be a farmer per like neighborhood, and so it wouldn't be driving from Centennial down to Lodo or whatever, Lodo, like anyone's urban farming in Lodo, but like the Highlands, so that it wouldn't be, and for those of you that aren't from Colorado, that's a very long drive. So I wouldn't want people, farmers bopping that far. It would be unsustainable, but instead it would be getting a small chunk, even maybe just a small section of a neighborhood, and a percentage of people to say, you can have my yard. And then those individuals would have this beautiful yard.
Yeah.
And then people would have food. And I thought that would be a really good idea, but there are weird laws about selling the food you grow on residential property, because once again, weird laws ruin everything.
Yeah.
Like once again. But
yeah, it's some malarkey. Like I know some people are doing things like this, where they're opening up their yards for other people to come and like community garden and things like that. And I like the idea of having multiple yards across the city, because there are microclimates too, across the city, and there are different things that can grow. And then there's always like this cross-pollination of knowledge too. Like I just, right before we had our snow, I went and helped some folks harvest whatever we could, and I learned just from that. I'm like, tell me what to do, because I don't necessarily know. I don't want to like deadhead the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. Again, it's that feeling of community, and it would be cool if we could sell it and stuff like that. Like I worry about stuff like that, because I've started bartering a little more, because I'm worried about getting in trouble for selling stuff. It's just like this weird thing, like where money is treated different than the other things that we trade or other ways we trade. It doesn't really make sense.
no, there's another rabbit hole, things that don't make sense. We could be here all day,
right? Like, why are we trying to go so hard the other direction that wasn't working? We've seen it. There's the MRI. Wow, all that's fucked. Let's go back to it.
Oh my God. Well, okay, so this time is really hard, and the brunt of this time is being taken by marginalized folks.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Right.
Ever. And I need to hold space for the complexity of this time, because I think a bunch of fucking people that thought they had some really good ideas are seeing how bad their ideas are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, all the ways I thought the world should run, and now I'm watching like people being evicted from their homes and getting sick and dying and not having access to care, and like not, and it's just like so much was theoretical, and it's easy to keep your distance from it and have a sterile relationship to your good ideas about the world.
Yeah.
Until you can actually see the impact, which is super tragic.
Yeah.
But it's also like a wild opportunity where I don't even know how to leverage it. But hopefully we come out of this time learning a lot more about joy and community and gardening and maybe less restrictive social expectations around how many days in a row you wear an outfit.
You know what? it doesn't stink yet on the third day sometimes. I mean, you know, if I haven't been walking around outside, it's like, fine. No one else, whatever. It's fine. Put a jacket over it.
Yeah, totally. New accessory, it's a new outfit. Today
Yeah,
I've got a watch. Tomorrow I'll do earrings. Different mask.
yeah. And by the third or fourth day, it's probably more comfortable anyway than like freshly out of the, you know. I'm like, now everyone knows all my secrets.
Mine too. But you've been doing this for a while, so I bet people really know your secrets by now.
I
You've been doing
mean,
these conversations.
I just figure all my stuff's out on the internet anyway. And then that way, when someone confronts me with something, I won't be surprised. I'll be like, yes, I did do that. And then just walk away because that's disarming anyway. Or, you know, whatever. Or if people want to talk about it, it's fine. And I'm also like, you know, if I'm wrong, I want people to call me on my stuff, you know. How else are we going to grow if we're not grown by our communities? Hopefully it's not in a way that's like, you fucking suck and now we're going to take you down, because sometimes that happens. But you know, that hasn't happened. So if it happens, I'll deal with it when it happens. So
yeah, that's what a system looks like when it hasn't learned to trust things like restorative justice, you know. And we have this way of approaching harm today that's really,
it's out for blood.
It's toxic in and of itself. Yeah. And I was just recently looking at a particular challenging situation I was in with some insight around the sort of desperate biological need to be in community, and when you've done harm, to actually make amends, to make things right, not only strengthens that community to do that work together, but it's but as the individual who has done harm, like, it's an actual human need. We need to make things right. And it's crushing it's devastating for us psychologically and emotionally if we can't. And especially if there's an additional layer of being ostracized from your community. So it's just something I'm also meditating a lot with right now at this time.
We've talked about this on and off, because I know I was worried about that for myself, because I saw it happening with other people. And you know, it can be just one story or one action that just like flips the script on everything you are or everything you were. And that, you know, I had a lot of fears around that. And I don't know, I don't have any suggestions or anything for that, but I like the idea of like thinking about restorative justice more. And also, like, that's what I've been looking for. I ask this question a lot in these chats, is like, you know, this idea of reconciliation. Like, how do we do that? How do we provide safe spaces for both victim and the person who instigated harm to heal and to be whole people? And, you know, it doesn't take away whatever happened, and everyone gets to deal with it in the way that they are able to, right? But like, how do we heal all parties? And that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, me too. I know. Yeah, me too. Yeah, maybe offline we'll talk a little bit more. I was thinking about doing like a restorative justice training, and I definitely want to do some trauma coaching courses, and just for myself and to hold space for others, like when things are so big. Okay, I have to tell you something honestly.
Okay.
I'm getting kind of hungry.
That's okay. We have about 3 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Do you, how can people like kind of stay abreast of some of the things you're doing, or even things that you'd like them to look at and support? What are some of those things? Where can I send people?
Oh my gosh. Oh God, I'm just like, okay, wow. Can I put my stuff in a bio later?
Yes.
Kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I have just really found it utterly necessary to find ways locally that I can make myself available for any needs around the uprisings and what we can do to support our, Black folks, people of color, however they're chosen, however they would like to use, people of culture, however they like to use their words in power, to find folks and just to support the fuck out of them. Offerings, mutual, like direct financial support, mutual aid, putting your body out there in situations where it can make a visual and necessary impact towards a certain goal for anti-racism and equality. And like, just, I mean, we're all maxed. I get that. And it's been really helpful for me to find one or two people or things that I can just consistently refuel with my energy. So if I think about everything going on right now, I get super overwhelmed. So I guess I wouldn't say anything in particular because I don't know where anyone is who's watching this. Like, I'm in Colorado and I really love Yolanda Begay's BIPOC birth justice work.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So like find that's like local to my community. So wherever you are, find something local to your community that is in your community, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And just to the best of your abilities, nurture the one or two things, people or programs or movements, whatever it is that you can just be consistent with, because trying to take it all on right now is really not helpful.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's where I would point people towards, is just, if you find something that you can do and support, like, just keep doing it. So
I think that's a good note to close with. I think that's really important. And I'm glad that you said that. Yeah.
And then whatever my stuff, 2020 isn't looking how I thought it would look. So someday I will have a beautiful, it's not even but I'll have the energy and time to help give birth to a queer Skillshare community online.
Rad.
And that's happening, but my eyes are on 2021. I just want to get through this year.
Yeah, just real talk. Well, thank you so much, Piper, for your time. And I know we'll talk again. And
yeah, it's so good to see your face.
It's good to see your face too. I had lots of fun. Hopefully this felt good. And
yeah, it did.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Thank
close
you.
it up. Thank you.
Yeah.